Hey everybody, it's me, Zach, and welcome back to my channel. Hey everybody, it's me. Hi, hello, Zach. Introducing myself twice at the beginning of the video because that's how we do it over here. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well today. This morning, Beck uploaded a video response to Amberlynn'S live stream called Blaming My Silence. That's the name of Amberlynn'S live stream. And I had time this morning to give it a watch, and I thought it might be helpful to share some thoughts about just like the ongoing back and forth between Beck and Amberlynn, and also this video specifically because, listen, Beck, I don't know if they're doing it intentionally or not, but Beck has been dropping responses and videos about Amberlynn on the days of these members-only live streams, and I do kind of live for it. So I thought it'd be helpful to give you a little bit of some key takeaways of what I imagine will end up being things that will come up in Amberlynn's members-only live stream tonight. I will say, as of right now, Amberlynn hasn't, and it's like 12:30 my time and Amberlynn's time. As of right now, Amberlynn has not posted like a time for the members-only live stream this evening. I do imagine she's still doing it. She surprisingly has been very committed to showing up for these live streams. So I imagine if anything, it'll just be a matter of like, she's gonna post about it last minute, and it's gonna be one of those things of like, if you can show up, show up. But yeah, one of the reasons I wanted to do this is that I actually haven't covered a lot of Beck's videos in depth, and I think that's mostly because when I watch Beck's videos, I don't necessarily have commentary to add. I don't necessarily have anything to say about it because for all intents and purposes, the things that Beck says feel genuine and authentic to me, and I don't have like contradicting opinions about them or information to add to it. Unlike Amberlynn's live stream, where there were things that like were so easily refutable or so easily like able to identify like, wow, I have some questions about what Amberlynn's talking about here. When I watch Beck's videos, that's not the vibe I get. And I have seen some chatter both like in my comments, but I think maybe more specifically or more prominently in Amberlynn's live stream where she does have some people who really support her. And those comments usually seemed concerned about like why people just automatically believe Beck over Amberlynn, or like why people act like Beck is perfect, or also like wanting to remind us, like these are the kinds of comments that I specifically got on my videos, like saying things like, well, didn't you once upon a time call Beck an enabler? Like, how is everybody forgetting that we used to think Beck was an enabler? And I will say this, like, this royal we that people use sometimes is funny to me, but I was a person who used to say that Beck was an enabler, and I'll get to that in a second. But I guess to start, I think what I want to say is that I don't think most reaction channels, or you, the viewer, or even Beck themselves think that Beck is perfect. And in fact, one of the things about Beck's, stories or experiences that they've shared that makes it feel more genuine and authentic is that they are able to identify the ways that they're not perfect. They are able to identify the ways that they've worked on mistakes that they've made. And they're also very open to saying, hey, like I'm probably going to continue making mistakes as I work through some of this stuff. Beck is so much more forthcoming in their experience and sharing the full details of the experience, even when sometimes it doesn't make them look good either. And of course, that doesn't automatically mean that it's true. It's just that that is a stark difference from the way that Amberlynn approaches accountability. And for sure, there are a number of things in this like back and forth between Beck and Amberlynn that like the only people who will probably ever know are Amberlynn and Beck. Like they're the only ones that actually experienced it, and I think in many ways it's not for any of us to say who is right or who is wrong. However, there are many things that like lead people to believing Beck's side of the story. I think one of the things that people most immediately jump on is that a lot of their stories about being in a relationship with Amberlynn line up with behavior that's been described in stories of Destiny's relationship with Amberlynn and Casey's relationship with Amberlynn. And it's one of those things where it's like, if it's happening to one person, okay, but 3 different people who have been in romantic relationships with Amberlynn having obviously different experiences that are also so similar in nature. And I would be inclined to say that even some of us reaction channels, or me in particular, have experienced, obviously not the same. I'm not in a romantic relationship with Amberlynn. I've never met her in person, etc. So I obviously am not going to experience anything similar or the exact same as what like Beck, Casey, Destiny have experienced. However, one of the most manipulative things I think I've experienced with Amberlynn ever, and honestly, I don't even know that I would consider all of my interactions with Amberlynn manipulative, but like for sure a manipulative thing that she's done in recent history, just in the past few months, was make a video calling me abusive and then a week or 2 later sliding into my DMs to try to clarify something in a video about Jordy. And so yeah, at this point, with all I know about Amberlynn, it's really hard for me to hear stories that sound like more extreme versions of things that she's done to me and not be like, yeah, I totally can see where Beck is coming from. I understand what they're going through. It sounds really reasonable that this is an experience that they had. And on top of that, you know, like we specifically can't know about everything that went on behind the scenes that Amberlynn didn't record, that Amberlynn didn't put onto YouTube for the public to watch. But there were plenty of things that were absolutely recorded and published to Amberlynn's own channel that a lot of reaction channels have gone back and they've compiled all of these things. There's even some that are like currently in real time taking that live stream that Amberlynn just did and going back and fact checking it and putting receipts and clips from her own channel. And if you're interested in some of those videos, I believe Beck listed a lot of them in the description box of their video so that you can go and reference those. I admittedly am not, like, that is not my strength when it comes to making content. Like, I can often remember a lot of stuff in the lore of Amberlynn, but I can't always remember, like, what video this happened in. And sometimes my own memory is a little bit, like, loose when it comes to those things. But there are a lot of reaction channels that are doing that specific kind of work and that specific kind of content when it comes to some of the nonsense that Amberlynn is putting out in this live stream and other situations where she's talking about Beck. And I think in general, not even just like as it applies to this situation with Beck, but in general, in life, we have to start normalizing some changing of opinions as we get new information. I absolutely have said in the past that I thought that Beck enabled Amberlynn, but not only do we have more information now about Beck's experiences during that relationship, but I also just have so much more intel and knowledge about Amberlynn as a person since they were in that relationship. Stuff that has nothing to do with Beck that has shaped and formed my opinion. I started like full-time watching Amberlynn, as in like never missing a video, during the Beck era, right? Like I came in maybe at the very tail end of the Destiny era. A lot of what happened with Destiny I have learned about after the fact, but I watched probably every single video since Amberlynn has been in a relationship with Beck. And so like I was so new to the Amberlynn lore at the time, and now obviously have a much broader grasp on who Amberlynn is and all the stuff that's happened in the history of her channel. So I think it's more than reasonable if some people who originally didn't care for Beck or didn't, view Beck highly because of the way that Amberlynn portrayed them in their videos. I think it's reasonable that those folks have come around, have changed their opinion, as we should on many things in life once we get more information. But I think the thing about this video that I actually like the most from Beck is that I don't think this was intentional on Beck's end at all, but it really demonstrated ways that Amberlynn fails at content. You know, one of the things that was interesting to me about Beck's video is that they actually used a lot of like mental health infographics to explain their experience of interacting with Amberlynn in a way that wasn't just them sitting there reading off of a slide, but actually taking the time to connect it to the experience that they had being in a relationship with her. And I just think that that is interesting to me. Again, probably not intentional on Beck's end, but just interesting to me because they did it so much more effectively than Amberlynn did just in the vlog she posted yesterday, where she sat down and read about BPD from a book. But also Beck having the forethought and knowledge to just sit down and make a video where they went point by point through the nonsense that Amberlynn was saying in her live stream really shows that Amberlynn should have considered doing that to begin with. Because Beck was able to have organized, articulated thoughts in a way that was easy to follow and easy to understand. As opposed to the way that Amberlynn decided to address this drama, which was get in a live stream with several thousand people and have a chaotic chat and randomly pull out screenshots, randomly pull out a journal, jump from thought to thought to thought to thought, occasionally answer some questions from the chat, occasionally answer questions from the chat that had nothing to do with her taking accountability, and in general just have a lot of like confusion, not clearly showing any of the screenshots, just really making it hard to really understand the full story and distract you from different situations where maybe if people really wanted to ask more questions, get more context, they couldn't. I mean, I remember specifically even at one point she was so far behind on super chats that somebody had sent a super chat that was asking to see a screenshot of Beck allegedly saying the thing about Amberlynn's family being drug addicts. And by the time that Amberlynn got to that super chat, she was like, what do you want to see a screenshot of? I don't get it. Like, what in particular? And honestly, it's clear to me now that not only was the live stream set up as a way for her to get super chats surrounding this drama, surrounding this stuff coming out about her relationship with Beck, but it also served, whether intentional or not, as a way to keep the story confusing, as a way to keep her accountability confusing. I imagine there's a lot of things from Beck's video today that could potentially be brought up in Amberlynn's live stream tonight, but I figured it might be a better use of time for me to focus on just either things that I thought were the most interesting or the most likely to be brought up at the live stream this evening. I think the first thing that's almost certain to get brought up is that Beck provided a lot of clarification about Amberlynn claiming that they only wiped them for 9 months after their initial surgery, because apparently that's not true, and wiping is actually the lesser of two evils, or was the lesser of two evils at the time.
After Amber's cancer scare and hysterectomy, I was the one who took care of her while she was healing. And yes, I was the one who wiped her. But I wiped her plenty before that. I believe from sometime in 2019 to June 2021 when we broke up. Before I started wiping her, she would use washcloths to wipe. She would set them on the corner of the sink, and then she would turn herself around to wipe herself on it. And then she would throw them away. Our roommates started to notice that their late mother's washcloths were disappearing. And they confronted her about it, and she wanted me to lie to them for her, but I didn't. She ended up buying more washcloths for herself, and instead of throwing them away, she had me wash them in the sink and then put them in the washer. Wiping ended up being the lesser of two evils at the time. Amber also said that I only brought her a bucket a couple of times. And that is true, it only happened a couple of times. But I did help her get spots she couldn't reach. And in between the bucket baths, she just didn't shower. I also didn't only brush her hair once either. It needed to be brushed every few months. I'm only saying all of this now because she does not live in the same reality. I'm hoping maybe this will be enough to finally reach her. She and some others don't realize that you don't wipe someone and groom someone that you don't care for. I didn't do those things for money. I did them to help her be more comfortable, to protect her dignity as much as I could. I lied for her and defended her and kept her alive. Now she shows her respect and gratitude for me by talking badly about me repeatedly.
Beck also provided some clarification about the bank account, the joint bank account that Amberlynn talked about, including that for a majority of the relationship, Amberlynn actually did set up a separate private account for just her.
Screenshot B, the banking. A, how much money is in the bank account? B, sends screenshot of account that both of them had access to. She doesn't show a date for when this was, but it seems like it is before she opened her private account with the same bank. I want to reiterate that when we got together, only I had a bank account. She asked to deposit the money she would make from YouTube into my account because she did not have her own. So this is the only time that she was not able to see what was in the account or access it herself. I don't remember exactly when we went to the bank, but it was around 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. That day she opened her own private account and also officially had her name put on mine, making my account the joint account that we both had access to. Eventually she had her YouTube checks directly depositing into her private account. But when it was in the joint and when it was in hers, she had full access to both. I only had a card for the joint account that was originally mine. After quitting my job and slowly becoming her full-time caretaker, I had no money of my own going into the account, but nothing was spent without her knowing about it or being the one to spend it herself. Screenshot B.2 Banking. September 2nd, 2021, only a couple months after breakup, June 19th, 2021. A. You need to open your own bank account. Just open a new one. I'm going to keep this one for now. I need you to start using your own money for redacted and stuff. Plus, when I pay you on this 22nd, I don't want you using this bank account anymore. B. Then go to the effing bank with me. So I believe that this was when she was urging me to open a new account and take myself off the joint account. That again used to be my account. But I'm pretty sure that I needed her to go with me to the bank to make these changes to the account. And I just wanted to say also that it's weird that the way she shows these screenshots, I can't read them myself, and she reads them out loud. But in some, she doesn't read it directly. It just throws doubt around. I also want to add that I think the thing that she marked out was weed, and I don't care if people know that I used to smoke. I did care once upon a time, but that's all I can think of that might be redacted in that message. And I think maybe why she said this is because she might have bought me a vape or some at some point.
And another part that I think is interesting and important to cover, and I feel like even I probably didn't go into a lot of depth about this in my coverage of Amberlynn's live stream, if at all, but Beck took some time to really clarify the story surrounding how they asked Amberlynn to be in a relationship because they felt like Amberlynn was really trying to reverse it to make it look like Beck was trying to coerce them into like some kind of sexual relationship when it wasn't like that at all.
She tries to insinuate that I pressured her into a relationship for sex because I claimed before that she pressured me into a relationship when I wanted to take it slow. She's always turning accusations around and making them her own to point back at people. On the day that I asked Amber to be my girlfriend, we were having a Netflix and chill type of date. I was really into the movie and Amber wanted to make out and cuddle. I told her I didn't want to in that moment because I was into the movie and this started a fight between us. This was the fight that she essentially told me she had many people lined up who wanted to date her, and if I didn't hurry up, she would find somebody else. I did like her at the time, and I didn't want to lose her yet, so then I asked her to be my girlfriend. Looking back on it, it's obvious she just wanted me to make it official as quickly as possible.
And yeah, of course, there's so much more than what I just mentioned there, and I'd absolutely encourage you to go get the full context from Beck's video directly. In particular, Beck ended the video on camera talking about their mom in a way that I felt was really touching. And they talked about how they hoped that their mom was looking down on them and proud of the ways that they changed and worked on themselves since this relationship ended. I really think that that's something that's probably best to hear directly from Beck, so definitely go check it out on their channel. That's all I have for today. I know this was a shorter video than what I've been posting lately on my channel. I have a bit of a busy day, including tonight. I have some plans, so I probably won't get to watch Amberlynn'S members only live stream until tomorrow at some point. And it might take me a little bit of time to get through, especially if there's things that I feel like are worth talking about or worth noting. I'll probably have to write some notes and stuff like that. So it might just take me a little bit longer, but I appreciate your patience and grace in advance. And if this is your first video with me, make sure to subscribe down below. Hit the bell button so you get a notification every single time I post a new video. Make sure to leave me a comment, hit like, click share, and follow me on all my social media. I love you all so much, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!